which depending on the time that allows us to take up. And why we are here is something that I'll address immediately. So Srijanavani is turning 30 this year. And the story didn't begin as an NGO, to be precise, and it has started from a student named R. Ravikumar, our founder. So from his polytechnical course days, so like any responsible senior, he started guiding his juniors, uh, but not just in exams and academics, but he also taught them on or guided them on how to lead a meaningful life. For years, it is genuinely more or less that's what the organization is. Conversations, discussions, learnings about mostly on the how to lead a meaningful life. But learning of that sort don't stay just like that. It will convert itself into something real. That demanded the formation of Srijanavani. That's the service organization that we have right now. And that group has chosen to direct its energy in education sector because majority of the members are already invested their lives and are very passionate about this sector. That's how it has formulated itself. Now it's 30 years and the same instinct has created a core strength of 60 passionate individuals where the core philosophy of the organization still stays transform themselves to transform the world around them. That's the idea with which the organization travels. And one thing before we kickstart the conversation, so service was never the objective or the primary objective of the org. It's always the byproduct. The real objective is always the lead a meaningful life as a human being, and service if is the outcome that will automatically come out of it if you do it honestly. So with that discipline of the organization showed in our numbers as well. But I don't want to get into the retrospective mode on this day. 30 years is generally milestone that majority of the organization wants to do a retrospective mode. But we would like today to be having an argument about the future. The reason is very simple. We have an ambition that Srijanavani should not just survive on the 100th year, not just on 30th year. It should matter for the society as well. So the difference is we don't want to be staying relevant. We want to stay as an organization that is necessary for the society, not just relevant for the society. So that's where we come from. So that's why we are all here. We have 3 people on the panel right now. And very soon Sanjeevanna will also join. That's one piece. Like I may address each one of you differently because of my relationship with each of you. So just excuse me for that because I want it to be more organic in nature rather than a formal discussion as such. So just excuse me for that. Yeah, so now we have 4 people in the panel. So one person will be joining us soon. So all 4 of you are shaping this particular sector from 4 completely different vantage points. One from the technology perspective, one from the philanthropic perspective, one from the higher education, and the other person is from the grassroots pedagogy perspective as well. So the different perspectives coming together, and everyone is looking at the same child, same Indian child, to ensure that they have a better future. So you're all here. We are all here as audience as well. It's not the expectation is not to get on an agreement. So it's always want to have a meaningful discussion. So that's where we begin. Let me introduce each one of you to the rest of the audience as well as to the panel. So I'll start with Dr. Shobit. Dr. Shobit Mathur is a co-founder and vice chancellor of Rishi University. He's a IIT Bombay graduate, a former Amazon executive as well. And he's the person who built Youth for Seva into a national volunteering movement before founding Rishi welcome, Shobit. You run a university, but you are in a K-12 panel right now. The discussion is majorly about K-12. A majority of the audience might be wondering why is it so. I'll tell you in a brief mode. So we have a peculiar relationship with Rishi University, Srijanavani itself. we run a program called Fly in the Sky. So we select 4 deserving students from various our programs and provide them a first flight experience. So in that Fly in the Sky program, Rishi Hood's Indic Summer School is also part of it.
Oh,
So
wow.
they come to Rishi Hood and spend their 10 days in your Indic Summer School in your university.
Yes.
Uh, so just to be clear, that majority of the universities do run summer school programs, but the primary objective of that is majorly to attract the future admissions. But we have seen a clear difference in ISS, Indic Summer School of Rishi Hood. You being the co-founder and vice chancellor, but taking a session in a summer camp is something we are seriously inspired. And that's one reason. And we understood that you or as you, Rishi Hood as a team, must be missing K-12 by running a higher ed is what is my hunch.
Yeah.
And want to hear from you as well. Is it you personally, or is it Sahil, or is it spilling from maybe Ajay Gupta's love for the children, or anything? Just want to hear your story of your relation to K-12.
Oh yeah, so K-12 matters a lot, not just to Rishi Hood, but we are very passionate about making an intervention there. See, we are, what should I say? Whatever comes out of K-12 gets into a university or a college, right? And we will not be able to deliver on our mission if we don't have the right set of students, the right mindset come in. Because how much do we have? We have about 3 years or sometimes 4 years with the students to kind of take them when they come out of their homes or nowadays coaching centers. And now we have to prepare them for getting into professional life, right? And we have these few years with us to do it. We can only do so much. So we have always thought that we should go further, deeper into education earlier and then create intervention so that the job of not just the universities, I mean, like Rishi Hood, but many others gets easier, right? So that is where we have always had this intention. So though we are structurally a university, we know we want to do more and more in K-12, right? So it is not just me, Sahil or Ajay Gupta, it is everybody's thought that yes, for us, education, people, the nation matters more. So whatever we could do, given our limited resources, we try to do our most. So the summer school that you're talking about, it is not an admission pipeline, and you would have seen this. It is genuinely
Yes,
an attempt from our side that, oh, we may not be able to run a school ourselves, but we would want to do the best in whatever capacities we have. So we try to find the right set of students. You got them several times to us, and then we try to do what we could do over a period of 1 week or 10 days. So this is our intervention there. Other than this, we have other K-12 interventions within the schools of Sonipat where we are located, and of course our different outreach programs. And they are not from an intention to create an admission pipeline. It is whatever we can do in our capacities, involve our faculty, our expertise that is there. How do we take it to the schools? So that is our constant effort. Yeah, that's the motivation to be
thanks.
involved in. Yes.
Thanks, Shobit. So the session that you've taken to our students at that time was India in 2030. It's like after your session, our students came to us and explained how they felt, and I'm sure that impact is still there with them. Even with our organization, some of our volunteers have also attended your session on that day in the university in ISS. Thanks for that. Now let me introduce our second panelist, Mr. Ayush Banshal. He's the founder and CEO of iDream Career. So currently reaching over 20 million students in the career counseling space. He partnered with various state governments and as well as private schools. And they are also the technical partners to NCRT in building the career portal to the CBSE students. And they work with UNICEF India as well. So Ayush, in a single day, your team or you might be guiding a government school child in a town. In an hour later, you are guiding the child from an elite private school to how to get an admission into an Ivy League. So that range is pretty huge, and I don't think any other organization in the country could achieve such an identity in that space, right? And given your span of work, uh, just want to understand from your words, like what is the actual, or what is the inequity, social inequity, or whatever the inequity that you feel among these kind of span that you must have seen or observed? Not in the policy terms. I want specifically from the terms of how these two students differ, whether in their ambition or in their clarity in their future, or the kind of questions they ask to your counselors or in your portal. So just want you to throw some light on the inequity that you observe on a daily basis.
Yeah, so thanks for having me here, and congratulations to your entire service organization for surviving for 30 odd years, and I hope you'll become more and more relevant in the next 50 odd years or 100 odd years. So yeah, when we started iDream Career, I think we understood it very clearly that when you look at things centrally from the point of direction in terms of what careers you want to get into, um, irrespective of the socioeconomic strata, whether students from government school or a private school or from a underserved community or from a high income family, everyone was struggling in terms of finding that right direction and in different ways, right? And that even like after 14 years, just like last year, one of the UNICEF report um, has a data which said that only 9% students had access to career guidance in government schools, while in private school it was just 11%. Right. So we feel that the private school ecosystem is also doing something great when it comes to career guidance, but it is not. Right. Right. When I talk about the schooling ecosystem, kids and parents do go out and pay a premium and would take up services. But I think that at a centrally, when you look at the career direction, both of them are clueless, right? The pathway could be different for them because they come from different contexts and their need is different, right? But when you look at it from a central point of view, both of them, have systemic issues in terms of getting finding direction towards their career. Now, when I look at it from the point of what do we see as a aspiration or awareness or ambition when it comes to students right across different strata, I think it is also just not about socioeconomic strata, but it's also about the region that we're dealing with. So for example, in other states like Bihar, UP, Jharkhand, right, you'll find students government school as well, and I would say to a larger extent, students in the range of under 50,000 annual fees private school to be really aiming and aspiring for jobs in the government sector, right? So either it would be a school teacher, either it be a IS officer, right? Either it be different various government exam and so on. While you move into cities and in metro cities, especially the top 4 or 5, the major city like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and you move upward in the socioeconomic strata, which is above mid-income family, or I would say even bit ahead, above than that. There, what I see is that parents, especially who have come from backgrounds like let's say IIT or Delhi University, and doing very well in their life and excelling their life, they don't want their kids to go through the same grill of getting themselves prepared for coaching, etc. Right. So and you can find this in college placement outcome report of all these schools, right, as well, wherein you would see that hardly, and I can take in like the top of the top schools in these category, literally you will find none of them, literally not even one student you will find them getting into IIT, right? Or even a student getting into SRCC or LSR for that matter, or St. Stephen, right? So you'll find 60-70% of them going up to almost 90% in certain schools going abroad, right? Because there's an easy way route, right? So let's all, I mean, just for a fact, trust me when I say this, getting into a Ivy League or a Harvard or a Stanford is much easier than getting into IIT, right? I always joke this around, give me a crore in grade 9 and get me a kid to me. I'll get him into the top 10 university around the world, right? It's easily possible, right? You can cook up everything, right? I see parents having a charter plane, taking them to Africa for a community work and coming back with nice photographs and publishing whatnot books, right? And so on. And now with AI, it is much more nonsense, right? Because the second or the third time, if you probe them, you get to know where they stand, right? So that is a disparity, right? So that's the diversity. So I think it is not just economic, but it's also to do with where they are in terms of the kind of schools, the kind of cities. Um, but I think one thing which is definitely changing is that parents in the underserved category are strongly wanting or aspiring that their kids get educated at least, right? And that is definitely a aspiration that I am seeing among parents changing very fast. What could be the track could be, something different, but it's a pretty complex and pretty wide and diversified topic, to be honest. We are a country, with such diversity. So, and I can go on throughout the night, but I'll take a pause. And I hope this is helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that, Aish. So yeah, we'll discuss this piece maybe in the upcoming discussion as well. So let me introduce Ms. Meera Rajivan as well. So Ms. Meera Rajivan is the Chief Operating Officer of Vidyadhan. It's a flagship program of Shubulal Family Philanthropic Initiatives. So like they've started in Kerala in 1999, if I'm not wrong. And now like um they are across. SFPL is almost 26 states. 26 states, and like every year I see their scholars coming from like they come from a very strong hunger for excellence, because honestly I've actually trained some of their scholars in the past, and I could see the hunger from their like I don't know the I do know, but the selection criteria that they ensure that such kind of students come to their pool and get the best out of the institutes, and from their scholarship they ensure that they get into the institutes that are lucrative to be enter into for majority of the students. So that's a very simple problem that looks like a deserving student who cannot afford a higher education. So that's what they are solving in a way. But the scale at which they are solving it makes it all the difference. It's not just the scholarships, it's also the mentorship that they provide throughout their journey. So, ma'am, my question to you would be, there is a growing narrative. I know maybe Shobit may also agree with me that degrees themselves are becoming redundant. It's a growing narrative, at least, if not truth, how much truth we need to debate. But yeah, the certificate, once upon a time, which was guaranteeing a career, is no longer at least guaranteeing a career, if not becoming redundant. That's what I mean when I say that. So Vidyadhan scholarship is precisely sponsoring or providing scholarships to get it, of course, even from a better university or a better college, but that's what is the is an objective for the deserving students to get, right, through your scholarship. So how do you see this tension? So how do you ensure that your students still fare better with respect to skill gap that is emerging in the academic institutions, especially in the higher education?
Thanks, Ram, and that's what keeps me up at night. What are kids going to do once they complete the education? That's really a big challenge that drives us. Okay, I'd like to look at it slightly differently. I don't think degrees are becoming redundant. I think degrees are becoming insufficient. So, especially for somebody from the economically disadvantaged families that we are talking about, the kids that I handle are from the upper side of the K-12, that is 11, 10, 12. We take them into the program after 10th, and then we support them through till they complete graduation of their choice. So we don't say that you have to become a doctor or an engineer or whatever course. You can study any course that you would like to do wherever you want to study. So we don't have an institute, we don't have any specific program per se that, any condition that they should pursue a particular course or they should get this score, etc., etc. What we really do is when we onboard, you are mentioned about the fact that you have found our children very hungry, right? So that's exactly what we look for them when we onboard them. So all of them are coming from less than 3 lakh per annum families. They are first generation learners for the most part. 90% and above are from rural areas and government schools. And, and so, and they all have scored very good marks in their board examination. So we have a very stringent selection. So everything else being equal, how do we select from 1 lakh applications that we get? How do we take 3,000 new students who will join us? So we have a test, and then we have an interview where we really look at their will to win. That's what we assess along with their economic situation. And then we follow it up with a home visit just to make sure that whatever that they have said is really the right information. And in my interaction with them, I think, and the core of our philosophy is that higher education is what helps you transform lives for generation. And I still believe in that, even though it's going to be challenging. Okay, so it is still a very important pathway to social and economic mobility in our country. Can you imagine somebody who doesn't have a degree but is meritorious trying to find a bride? It's a huge problem. They all want guys who have a government job, and and it's reflected when in the interview when we talk. They either want to be an IAS officer or a doctor, and that is across the board. I think in AP and Telangana they will say I want to be an engineer, but in most other places it is IAS officer and doctor, because that's only positions of power that they have seen, where they have seen respect. They equate private sector with very low pay as well as no job security. So very limited. So what we try to do is to create awareness about what are the opportunities out there, provide them career awareness sessions. And I'm very glad you talked about this ISS program. Maybe I will touch base with you, Shobit. We have a program for a 5-day residential training program that we give to our 11th kids, on some of these aspects, how to select, etc. But coming back to your question, the question is really not do you have a degree, but also what can you do with that, what you have learned. And this is where we have a significant gap. We actually did a mentoring need survey for our students. We have around 14,000 students, but those who are pursuing degree, close to 3,000 students responded, okay, across 6 states. So there is a very strong demand for mentorship across the courses. We have all the courses you can think of. We have students pursuing that. So, and career, regardless of the student's chosen educational degree, there is a very strong demand for mentorship. Then confidence in the curriculum. So we ask, okay, how confident are you about your course and getting a good career? That is very high when they are in the first year. By the time they come to the third year, it drops significantly, because then they realize, okay, what they thought this course will enable them to do and what the industry requires, they have not even know what industry needs, right? So it is a huge thing. And then they recover a little bit in the final year because they have to do projects and stuff like that. And another point, I just want to add to what Ayush mentioned about the preference for government jobs in some of the states. It is not just preference for government jobs. I see in the southern states, we actually started with the southern states and then eastern states, and before we went into UP, Bihar, and Jharkhand. But what I realized is that we have 85% of our students are STEM students. They have all taken science courses. But I see a distinct trend in UP and in Bihar and Jharkhand, where there are very large number of students who are opting for BA courses and BA political science, BA sociology, and I'm thinking what kind of jobs are going to be there. But then I realized just as we train our students, in on a JEE path or NEET path, you go coaching. So there is a path for preparation for UPSC and all that in those states, in several good institutions, it's happening. But that is what is missing is in even in engineering courses where we would expect hand skills, where we would expect practical skills. That is what is missing, and AI has accelerated the change. Okay, so this is a huge problem, and what we said is that we will try to provide them, in addition to what they learn in the college, we may have to step in and try to provide them different learning pathways. Okay, and it can be in terms of certifications that they can pursue. It can be in terms of the mentorship programs. And I don't know if any of you will be surprised, but guess what is the single most challenge that they are facing when it comes to interviews? It is, and in from the survey it is very clear, and we knew it, but it is their inability to speak in English. They are extremely worried. They have very low confidence. So that is something we realize we have to start working with them from year one, on English communication, get them to speak English, and help them get over the fear of communicating in English. And then we can talk about the rest of the things, so the certification. So we have an ambitious program, and we really need partners who can help us with that. We cannot do it alone. And that is where our corporate partners, they know what are the skills that are, at least many of them know what is in demand. I mean, whenever we talk, even many corporates don't have a clue what the nature of job is going to be, but still they know better than anybody what kind of skills are required, right? So if we can help them with projects, internships, etc., that is what that entire thing. So we have just moved the goalpost. We have a great dropout ratio. We have less than 0.5% dropout ratio, but now we have just moved the goalpost. It is not just about completing the course, but enabling them to get a good job. So we have worked on all that. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, ma'am. So just to give an anecdote, like I do, like I know many of the students of Vidyadhan. So the stories that we hear from them, even I like recently I've heard a person, one student, when I was training him, trained him once. So he told me that he's working in freelance for an Israel firm. He's developing something for the Israel firm and stuff. Recently, I've seen him visiting that Israel firm as a founding member, that they're building some AI powered trading platform. Your own student, ma'am, that's like, so like coming from a background and going to Israel as a student, he's still graduating, by the way, he's not graduated at all. This is a very recent story that I've seen, that like these kind of stories also I do hear, that like he started like a freelancer, now he became a founding member, now he's working with them in Israel. He just recently visited.
Yeah, I do see an increasing trend in students interested in being job creators as opposed to job seekers. It's a good trend, but I don't know how many of them will be able to start it immediately, but I'm glad that they have started thinking like that.
Yeah, they are. Thanks, ma'am. So we do have Sanjeevanna as well. So he's Dr. Sanjeev Kulkarni, dearly called as Sanjeevanna. He's a gynecologist by training, retired now. But he's a founder of Balabalaga, an alternative activity-based play center school in Harvard. So he also started 30 years back, exactly 1996, with his wife Pratibha. They've built their whole school around stress-free, secular, gender equal, and exam-resistant model of learning. The philosophy is so uncompromising that he himself keeps telling us that he do lose some of the students every year to English medium exam-focused schools nearby. Still, they don't want to dilute Balabalaga schools in Dharwad. And Sanjeevana, welcome to the panel. We just had an introduction of the rest of the panel. My question to you would be, it's like it's been 30 years you are doing this journey. So in this whole period, it has ever occurred to you that there is a pressure of commercialization of schools for you personally? And do we need to become more mainstream, more marketable? Why not? Because there is a demand, there is a requirement there, and people are going to other schools. So, what is your thought in that? That's one important question that I have, a curious question I would say I have. And the other question is the technological advancements that are happening in the overall scenario. So the purity of Balabala's intentions itself may keep the students of Balabalaga to not to access that particular technologies or learn it. You can say these are my assumptions. The second question is more of an assumption of mine. Happy to get corrected. Just wanted to hear from you, Anna. Your voice is very low, Anna. If you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it is fine.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah. I'm extremely sorry for joining you all somewhat late. I got caught in another function, so couldn't get down from the platform. So I'm very sorry. Anyways, yeah, the answer to this question is there have been pressures of different kind, not exactly to commercialize it. I would not put it that way, but the pressure has been to convert our school into an English medium school, which is indirectly, making it more commercial. Ours is a Kannada medium school from kindergarten to 7th standard, and hence the number of children coming to our school has always been limited. Ours is a very small school. Presently, we have 220 children, but having seen the child-friendly and eco-friendly campus and the kind of activities that we have been doing, a large section of the society has always been advising us, like, why do you want to restrict yourself to Kannada medium? Why don't you make it into an English medium school when you can have thousands of children and all your financial problems will be over within no time? But we have resisted it. We continue to resist it because deep down, as all the educationists of the world have been telling us, the child should get its primary education, at least the primary education in one's own mother tongue or in the language of the surroundings. Hence, in a way, the pressure has been in that way, but not exactly to commercialize. But we have tried to remain honest and truthful to our original dreams. And this year, I must share with you that we are now in the 30th year. We have been calling this year as Punaschetana Varsha. We want to renew ourselves all over again. All the mistakes that we have been doing, do away with those mistakes, get fresh water into the system. And that's exactly what we are doing. And the second part, as far as the technology is concerned, we are really not afraid about the technology that is coming in a big way. AI, we really don't know. We really don't know how AI is going to play out as far as children's education is concerned. But internet, YouTube, and all that, we think it's really a boon to education. For example, today morning itself, I engaged the children of 8th, 9th, and 10th class, showed them the great paintings of the world. Pablo Picasso, Jatin, our own Nandalal Bose, M.F. Hussain, with their original paintings on the screen there. And I shared with the children that there is something called explaining great art in 15 minutes. You might not become great artists yourselves, but you'll become great connoisseurs. You'll be able to appreciate great art. And that is something very, very important for today's generation. So we welcome technology, knowing very well the flip side of it.
Thanks,
Yes.
Anna. Thanks for sharing that. We know there are 4 different organizations, 4 different philosophies, and definitely the 4 completely different perspectives here. So for the rest of the time that we have, that's why we are not going to ask too many questions. We would rather have 3 questions in depth and not individual questions anymore. Every question goes to everyone. And just I should mention, Meera ma'am, thank you one more time, especially because she has a throat pain. Still, she managed to come and participate. Ma'am, you are like open to participate or like want to skip the questions whenever, whichever you wish to. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, thanks, ma'am. Yeah. So here is the first question to the panel. So we would like to hear your predictions first. So where is it our Indian education system or education sector as a whole is heading towards in the next 10 years? Not a hope, but actual prediction. What is going to happen? So maybe in technology, maybe in pedagogy, on social equity or employability or public policy, anything, whichever you are comfortable with. You can pick one lens or multiple lenses. Just want to understand your prediction on it. So anyone can start, and maybe Ayush, if you want to begin. Else.
That's a very huge responsibility to answer that question. So I'll just add my perspective. So I feel that, and as we already discussed about that point, that it's not about university becoming irrelevant or colleges becoming irrelevant. I strongly feel that, especially for students in the government school, that's the next big step, and that's always going to help and transform them, right? But for 30-40% of the larger job sector or the career tracks, I think there is a massive transition in the next 10 years that will move around to answering that question of, or thinking from the impact lens of the job and the employability. And that is being seen everywhere, right? Whatever we are doing, we need to see how you can link it up to the job, right? And I believe that their industry has to play a very important role, which especially in the Indian context has been, something wherein both, at the school level or at the university level, the industry linkage and the partnership is very weak. The second is that skilling, right? Basic vocational skill will become much more important, right? Because from the impact of the AI, I think there are 2 which is definitely emerging, if not what impact it will do in any other sector or not. But I think there are 2 very large areas wherein it will not have a negative impact for that matter, which is, one is that a lot of people will become solopreneur, right? So you will start now seeing people, running as a single individual company and, excelling, right? Themselves, right? The second is wherein these sectors like hospitality, hotel industry, right? Food and beverage, right? Healthcare, education, right? I think these are the sectors wherein you would need people, and there will all these sectors will, boom a lot. I mean, for example, you would see the entire boom in the coffee space in the country now, right? Across the country, length and breadth. I was in Nagpur. I was amazed to see the kind of coffee roasters which were there in Nagpur, and I was there for 5 days across all the time, across all the days. It was totally packed, right? So not just one, but 5 or 6 odd coffee shops I went into. So it's not just Delhi, Bombay, etc., but the number of coffee. I'm just giving example of coffee linking to the F&B. So I think, for example, if someone can become a barista, right, can own a skill around barista, right, I see that person can earn up to about 1 lakh a month easily, right? in 3 to 5 years time. So either as a solopreneur or as working as a barista, right itself. So I believe that that transition of overall K-12 education has to move around solving for these 3 or 4 odd things in the coming years, right? And yeah, I mean, I think these are the 3 things I think we have failed miserably, in the vocational education per se, right? We know the outcome of the PMKVY, which has been running for 15 odd years, right? And where it has led to, right? So I think we have to be very um, we have to be very serious about where do we want to look at and deliver and execute when it comes to vocational in the schooling space, right, which is now part of NEP and from grade 9, which is all coming up. I think that will play a very key role.
Got it.
I'll take
Thanks,
a
Ayush.
pause.
Yeah. So solopreneurs and vocational skills. And if it is solopreneurs, like definitely selling is one skill. So these kind of skills is what to focus. Yeah. Shobit, if you want to add,
I'll take a
please,
quick
please, please.
shot. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
loved
please.
Ayush's thoughts. I align with most of what he's saying. I think something more fundamental also is going to change. Like if you look at it today, why do you need this 4 years of college education? Because in our mind, what we have thought is, oh, we will give them all the knowledge, then they will go and work for the rest 40 years of their life. But it is no more going to be that, right? By the time we're completing our 4 years of education, things are changing. We don't even know what we are preparing them for because the world 4 years later, you cannot predict now. So I think this model of first get educated, then you work for the rest of your life because we have given you the skills are not going to, is going to change. Education will be lifelong and continuous. We have been saying this for long, but actually it genuinely becomes so. So the role of universities will expand to not just provide this education to 18 to 21 years, but it may be a place where people will just come back, learn new skills and go
Already
back. It will
working
genuinely
professional
become.
courses are already begun. Yeah.
Yeah, so we may, yeah, we see, so this is going to be more and more a need, and we are already seeing people in mid-career going back to college, getting, it could be called executive education, but they're doing this. So this is going to change. So as a university, at least I imagine Rishihood and other universities to be serving a larger segment of people, and it may not be in chunks of 4 years. It could be very short duration credits
6
that are
months.
being given. That
Yeah.
being said, if you look at K-12, I think even further a challenge because why do you need this 12 years or more education to be ready to go to college? It is because the entire philosophy is coming from this whole conveyor belt model, right? You'll keep doing this. Education is going to become highly personalized with all AI. I mean, according to my own interests, my pace of learning, how I can complete, right? Earlier, you had this classroom model. Somebody's teaching you something, assessing you, sending you to the next class. Somebody is teaching a class of 40, assessing you, sending you to the next class. Because we had a constraint in terms of teachers, right? Now with AI and other things, everybody could create their own learning journey. Somebody might take 16 years, somebody might do it in maybe 10 years or 12 years, or somebody might even take lesser. So it is this whole rigid models of years, compartmentalized education, one-shot education for life. All these things will become very fluid. And I think it's a good thing finally that people can learn at their own pace when they want, what they want, right? And as Ayush is saying, then you can do your own thing based on your own interests. So we will get out of this whole compartmentalized conveyor belt model that we have so far. Yeah.
Thanks,
I
Shobit.
think I
Thanks,
just want
Shobit.
to add one more thing. I think probably just 3 4 years back as well, the thought was always, which Shobit just, I mean, just adding on to Shobit's thought. One is the education, 4 year education will not be enough. But the other part is always also that the job stability is going, right? I mean, you will get into Infosys or TCS, right? You would think that the job is absolutely stable, right? Now it's not stable anymore. I mean, the impact of job, is there that if you don't upskill, that stability is not going to stick around.
Yeah. Yes, Sanjeevana, you want to add anything? Because like you're running a school, so how do you see 10 years from here?
Yeah. Without negating what the other two panelist friends have shared so far, what I would like to add is this. Increasingly more, our children need, I don't know whether I should call it knowledge, huh, or wisdom. Maybe that is too heavy a word. About their internal world as well as about their external world. On the front of the external world, ecological crisis is becoming more and more serious. What with climate crisis and global warming, that is going to impact all of us, and all the more so we the Indians. And we have to prepare our, the next generation. We as parents, we have a responsibility of preparing our children for that reality. And that reality is not somewhere there in the far future. It's already become the present now. Huh? That is one big uh, thing that we have to address to. And the other bigger thing that we have to address is the internal world. How do we teach values to our children? We have severely failed for the last 100 years or more. Whatever we tried in the form of moral education or this or that, we have failed. We have to admit that. And yet now is the time to teach our children. What do we mean by courage? How do you learn courage? What do you mean by honesty? And how do you teach honesty to children? And this cannot be just a chalk and talk method. It has to come from the teachers who are themselves real life models for the children. And there is a huge world inside.
So, Amna, I'll stop you. The reason is, like, you are talking about a wish that how the education should transform, or are you predicting that the values curriculum as such will become more popular, more required? Because
Yes.
okay, that's what you see that's happening.
What I feel, students are facing increasingly more stress from a very young age. How do we teach them how to handle stress, how to handle failure? Because the number of students is so huge. Like, what we have seen just this in the last few months, the number of children taking NEET exams runs into lakhs and lakhs, whereas the
Yes.
available number of seats is very less. How do you handle failure? How do you handle that pressure? Unless and until we equip our children in this regard, we are going to face a huge crisis. In fact, we are in the midst of a crisis of that kind right now. The
Yes.
older generation, the older kind of lifestyle is going away, and children are, getting into some kind of a vacuum where the parents, neither the parents nor the educational institutions are equipped to give them that kind of a foundation for them. And I feel in the next 10 years, this is going to become extremely more important.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to add, I very much like what Ayush and Shobit mentioned about, choosing specific lines, and we don't have to, you study what you like and all that. And I'm a very strong believer in technology as a catalyst for democratization of education. Having said that, I would also like to add that that is not enough. Parents have to change. Without parents changing, children will not change. If you put that kind of pressure, sir talked about the pressure students are under. Why should everyone become a doctor?
Yeah.
And Indian parents typically try to live their dreams through the children. Okay, and today's children have lot of choices. When I studied engineering, there were 5 engineering colleges in whole state. Now in my district, there are more than 12 engineering colleges, right? So for us, it was easy, either medicine or engineering. Choices were limited, but now there are so many courses, so many choices, which is a good thing. But our students are not equipped to make decisions by themselves and own accountability for the same thing as well. Okay, so parents play a major role in what the children study, where they study, and also, so that is something I see there is going to be a big change that is happening because we have now digital native children getting into school, and teachers will really have to change the pace at which the children use technology to learn new things. If the teachers do not upgrade themselves, it is going to be a big problem. So with the parents. Okay, so I think in the next 10 years, we are going to see the teachers, their role itself is going to change. They have to learn how to use technology to communicate, to connect with children for their benefit. In addition, and I completely agree with what Dr. said, on values, and I would specifically say that mental health is going to we need more counseling and all that in our system, and otherwise it's going to be very difficult for children to handle this stress. And one more, he talked about sustainability. I am very worried about the drug use. Okay, so substance abuse and internet, addictions of all kinds. So those two are going to be big problems. It is going to be there, and we have to. It is not just education issue. It is overall.
Yeah. Thanks, Monica. In a way, like panel has addressed not just the prediction to an extent, wish as well. Where you want it to be is also to an extent addressed. But like one important question that we are here majorly is because there are like maybe some hundreds of folks are actually watching us on YouTube, and as well as here close to 70 plus folks are there. So majority of them are here for one important question to be answered. There are school owners are there in this audience, students are there in the audience, and people like organizations who wants to work in education sector are there in the audience. Everyone wants to understand, or at least not, they want to understand what they should do. First thing is their action item is needed as well. So two questions I'll combine. One is, now we just discussed the prediction, of course, to an extent wish as well. So one is, where do you want to see our education system to be in next 10 years or so? Or if you want to give a suggestion or an action item to individuals in this call or organizations in this call, one thing that they should do differently from tomorrow, what is that can be? Like Shobit, if you want to start, please.
Yeah, I think as I'll build on what Sanjeev ji said, more and more, I think schools and universities will become centers of life coaching. They will not be forums for knowledge transfer or information transfer in that sense. Um, Family systems are getting weaker. What should have been provided by the community and the families is not being provided as much. More and more, that role has to be fulfilled by schools and universities. So, we will start seeing a need for that, and that may become a differentiator. Already, people keep talking about holistic and different things for various reasons, right? Some of it is for commercial reasons, some of it is genuinely parents are unable to understand how do we impart all this wisdom to our children. And they're looking up to schools and colleges to do this. As a university vice chancellor, many parents think that they can outsource their parenting to us. Good or bad, that's a trend that is increasing. We may wish that it's not happen, but it is increasing. So I think as a university, my role will be lesser to teach them something, but to give this life wisdom and coaching. That is what will become a differentiator. That is what is the need of society as well. So we are almost extended parents in some ways. I think this will only keep increasing more and more with, how digital media is coming in, how families are getting broken, how communities don't exist anymore. You don't know your neighbors, you don't know who's living in your society. So schools and universities will become that area where you will build these bonds and you will get these things. So that if we ask me for one thing that can change, I think this is what will increase. More and more of life coaching will become a part of schools and universities. because others cannot be providing that.
Thanks, Shobhan. So, Sanjeevana, if you want to add, what should we do? Like, what should I do? What should every person in this call do?
I very sincerely feel that now is the time to have a very serious look at the very architecture of the schools and the colleges and the universities. We have never given a good thought as to what really the children love. Why they should be very eager to come to the school every day. What all along what we have thought is like you have one big matchbox like building and that's a school or that's a college. No, children deep down resent this kind of an architecture. They hate this kind of an architecture. And there are many studies which show that that's a big violence that we do to our children. Instead, we should have very child-friendly and very, very eco-friendly school campuses. And that itself will go a big way in making children open their minds to learn new things. For example, just last week, I took our children around in our campus and showed them what are lichens. And lichens are the indicators, very sensitive indicators of the purity of air. And I showed them on the net. What do we mean by lichens? What are the importance? Then I told them like it is our responsibility to save our surroundings, to save nature. And this is what you're going to need tomorrow. And this is the kind of school architecture, school ambience, school campuses that we need. And it is possible. It is very much possible now that we understand more and more. And this has to be, real life education. This has to be real life education. Children should be taught.
Sanjeevana, I'll again interrupt. The thing is, one thing that I have observed, even Shobit may also agree with me, that especially in the educational institutions, especially infrastructure piece, has become severely costly. It has become more of a real estate game than an education game, at least in some of the cities, if not in every area. For sure, that it's like it has become a more of a, if you need an infrastructure like a school with the ambience that you maintain in your school. So to create or replicas of such in cities would be a nightmare for any school entrepreneurs who wants to enter into the field. It has become a financial nightmare for each of them, of course. But I got your point that how can we, like, the focus on nature and learnings from there would go a long way, and that's where is one focus that we can, as a community, can drive towards. That's understood. But yeah, as such, if you say schools itself transforming like that is becoming a costly affair.
No, but what I would like to add is you are mentioning only about the schools in the city areas.
Yeah.
But crores and crores of children are learning in mofussil areas, in
True.
rural areas, where there is enough place, enough space to create a very eco-friendly school campus. And which is what we need, and we can do it. Given some thought, given some sincere involvement, we can create those kinds of school surroundings for our children.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks. Ma'am, if you want to add anything, what should every person in this call do from tomorrow?
I can say what I need to do differently. I think I will start listening more to the kids, what they need, what kind of support they need, and rather than be prescriptive, just listen to them and develop curiosity, critical thinking, and an open mind to learn rather than just going after the degree, etc. But having said that, we have also the reality of our country where our children, our scholars need a job. They already their family has invested too much by getting them educated till degree, and they need a job. They need earning, job or entrepreneur or whatever. So how many new generation jobs are available right now? I don't know. Government is still giving lot of jobs and people have a lot of scope on that. So I really think that whatever their conviction, where they are coming from, we should enable them to make the decision right for them, you know, and then help them be comfortable with that decision and help them become successful in that decision. I think that is the role that we can play.
Yeah. So being maybe the new reality is we must be more empathetic, or requirement is that given that
They are
like
they
the
are much
jobs.
smarter than my generation. Whenever I interact with them, I know we just have to ask the right question, and you know what they lack is agency. They know they have to do an internship that will increase an opportunity, but how do you go about it? Who is going to where do they have the connection to get an internship? And none of our companies believe in giving paid internships. No. So which is very different from what we see in advanced countries, right, or more developed countries. You can earn while you learn. That opportunity is very limited in our country as it is. I hope that entire ecosystem has to change so that they can be their best. Not everybody needs to be a doctor. Not everybody needs to be an engineer. They should be successful in whatever skills that they have.
Thanks. Thanks for that. Ayush, if you want to close this with you started and like you to close as well.
Oh, so I think, I mean, for me, I mean, it's a very, I mean, from my end, I think it's a very short line, which I have tried to do myself as well, which is in the world that, people are becoming more like machine, try to be more like human. And I think all that is being said here, right? I, I call it human skills, right? So, transparency, honest, curiosity, these are human skills which we need, right? To be able to interact with others. Um, and like I purposely stay away a lot from AI tools. I know how AI tools work. I know all the possible goddamn AI tools that are there in the world, which model is launching when, what is the difference. I keep a tab on every goddamn thing, but I don't use them. I feel like, getting used to such tools will, I mean, largely decrease my own, human capacity and knowledge and everything, right? And the curiosity, right? Because it's so, it feel like really, literally like machine. You just feed in something, you get something, you send it to someone, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, I use like personally use very less AI, right? Just for formatting my LinkedIn post after I've written it personally, right? After I've given it my thought. And couple of very long emails, if I write at times, I hardly use AI tools, right? Though keeping a tab of it, I think I think people who can find um, to have these human skills, right? They will be seen as exceptional, right? Because no matter what and what we can say and push out, majority of us will go into that direction because the entire world is moving into that direction. So if you can keep yourself close to the nature and the characteristics of human being, right? I feel that you will stand out very exceptionally in the market, and you'll stand out. People will see you different, right? Very well enough. So I think that will become a differentiator for you. I always see everything from sales point of view. Like one thing again and again, like people really and especially young people really don't want to do is sales. And sales is difficult not because there is a monetary exchange, but is because you need to counter another human being,
Yeah.
right? You need to put out your thoughts, right? You need to meet a human, right? position something, right? Sell a value, right? That product or service is bringing together, and it's just not when you're selling product or service, right? When you are interacting, when you know, are hiring, right? In different ways you need to sell, right? Every way where you need to sell. So I think if you are more towards human side as well, it will create a differentiator and you will be able to sell yourself a lot. Like, you know, when we see CVs from IITs, right? Everyone will write, I was in 0.2% of the IIT JEE exam, right? Which everyone is, right? Once you get into IIT campus, you are among, you are the same among all of them, right? Then the how you create a differentiator is the next big thing in that 4 years, right? So so I think for everyone it would be like to find out that differentiator, and being human can be a differentiator.
Thanks. Thanks for that, Arun. We have crossed a time 8 minutes, 10 minutes more. But if panelists allow me, 1 or 2 questions from the audience that they have posted in the Q&A sections and YouTube, I would like to take. So one question that somebody has posted is the major challenge as a parent is to identify the children's interest or a skill and groom them to meet future society requirements. This is one reason for stress to children. How can the parents or education system to work should work to bridge this gap? That's one question, like mindful question from the people, that because students are or children are forced to study or pursue a career which they don't want to, is creating the stress is what the climb is. And how can we identify and groom that particular piece is a question.
I'll take a quick shot at this. To build on what Ayush was saying, every child should identify what is their unique strength and build on that. And also this whole aspect of in the future, it is not going to be this mega corporations where people are going to try to get a placement into. It will mostly be very, very small companies of maybe 10 to 20 people, a lot of them driven by entrepreneurs. So, but to get there, you'll have to be very good at what you're doing. And to be very good at what you're doing, you'll have to find a match between your own personal interest, your skill set, and what you can do. So identifying yourself first is the most important thing in this whole journey. And our education doesn't focus on that as much. Neither does our parenting focus on it as much. So if we can help each child understand their innate strengths and take them toward that path, they will be able to build something, and that is what is the future. The traditional model of getting a competitive exam rank, then getting into a big corporation job, I think that is over. So that's what parents can do best, helping the child identify what they're best at, exposing them to multiple things, asking them to reflect, observing them, and then taking them to the best in what they are. That would be the future of parenting also.
Thanks, Shobit. Thanks for that. One more question is on the, so majority of the rural schools have already got the learning apps, digital learning apps as well, online learning applications. But still, even after that, the student studying level is not improving at all. So what is the panel's take on it? Because the government is implementing the digital learning even in the rural areas through different applications. But still, so it's not the teacher quality anymore. I mean, that's one argument or a discussion that used to debate that used to happen before, that the quality of teacher in the rural areas is not great. Kind of a statement used to be there, but now even with an online application with the best of the teachers sitting on the other side of the screen, still the learning outcomes are not coming up. Is the climb somebody made, and what may be the solution now? Because even one trial is also not working.
We need good quality teachers and we need to kill the B.Ed mafias is my straight line, you know, answer to it, right? You know, I mean, I closely see a school which is one of the most aspired school in the country, right? Very closely. There is no technology in it, right? It's very plain, simple teachers,
Yeah.
you know, teaching very plain, simple curriculum. in the same way that they were doing for the last 10 years, mostly, right? Apart from making bit of holistic thing like adding play and yoga and things like that, but and the learning outcome is amazing, right? So, but the fact is that in our schools, the problem is having good quality teachers, and in India, especially in government schools, that you will find teachers mostly why they are teacher is because it's a government job, not because they wanted to do teaching, right? When I go to government schools now in most part of the country, I will see cars of more than 10 lakh rupees at least, 10 to 15 of them, all of them belonging to teachers, right, in government schools, right? But the interest is not there. But the interest was not to actually teach. But the interest, if you go and ask in government schools if you want to become teacher, and especially girls saying we want to become teacher, it's because of that the fact that it's a government job, and then you get a lot of facility and holidays and flexibility. But I think we need to get good teachers, and I always say this, that there is IIT or there is now Ashoka for liberal arts and others who are emerging now. But when do we get IIT for building teachers in the country, right? We don't have one institution, which we can say, is a gold standard for producing teachers in the country, right? Or at least at a certain scale. So I think we are lagging. I mean, that's the core thing, no rocket science, right? We don't have teachers. It's simple. Governments are not able to hire teachers, right? There is still 30 or 40 odd % schools in the country running on a, on a one teacher school, right? So the central problem is teachers, right? And that has to be taken in the mission mode, is something I strongly feel. Even if you get technology, etc., all of that, we have at least understood that personalized learning thing is good, but until it's not facilitated, students are not self-motivated to study on their own, right? So I think we need to solve teachers' problem for sure. Unless it's very, very hard to improve learning outcome.
Thanks, Aish. I know, like the panel, like everyone is, as I said, passionate individual. When we thought of this panel, I know that 1 hour will be too short a time to have any like conversation to extend and come to a conclusion as such. That's when even we have decided as an organization, when as a team as well, that when we thought of doing it, let us have some open thoughts. So I know that we have opened multiple topics, but we have not exactly concluded anything. But still, these openings will lead to something is what we are thinking. Because as I'll end where we have started as well. We don't want, as I said, we don't want to be in another organization. Srijanavani doesn't want to be in another organization in the next 100 years surviving. So we want to be directing this change that we are discussing right now. And we are seriously thinking about it and have individuals who are passionate about it. And so with this, maybe if one child somewhere who's neglected by everything, like maybe by the policy, by the technology, by everything, if that life is getting changed by design, not by accident. So if that happens, so this 1 hour is worth the time is what we felt. If it can add value somewhere, some children can get benefit out of it. So thank you, the panel, Shobit sir, Ayush, Veera ma'am. Yes, Sanjeevan.
Yeah. We proudly call our school as the school for today as well as school for tomorrow. So I very sincerely hereby give an invitation to all of you to come to Dharwad. We not only have a school like Balabalaga, just now the problem that was addressed, the issue of teachers. Recently, we have a institution called Mindwave Edu Hub, where teachers are being trained in a very novel way. So you are most welcome to come to the city of Dharwad. Yep.
Thanks, Anand.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks specifically to the panel. You've given your 1 hour of real unscripted thoughts and conversation. So very happy to be part of it. And like would like to continue these conversations among our org and among the other audience as well later. And we'll continue to discuss and ensure that some action items come out of it and take action out of it as well, not just the discussion. That's the idea of this panel discussion. Thank you for being here on the Srujanavani's 30th year. So we'll very soon celebrate as well in September, most probably. In September 26th is when is the exact date when we are celebrating this. So whoever is in and around Vizag are welcome, and if whoever is passionate enough to be part of the celebrations are also welcome. So yeah, so that's the end. Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
next to our 100 years. So let's see.
All the best. Congratulations.
All the best.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Aish. Thanks, Shobit. Vamsi, if you can stop the meeting, that's fine.